किसी ने आज चैप्टर नंबर 15 पढ़ गया है? कोई ऐसा स्टूडेंट है बिफोर सिटिंग इन द क्लास ओनली डिजर्व्स अ महाप्रसाद? ऐसा कोई है? दुर्लभ मानव है, रेयर सोल. Everybody knows we are starting chapter number 15 today. How many chapters in the Bhagavad Gita? 19? 18? 19 chapter भी है ना? Good. So we're starting with chapter number 15 today. That's very nice, you know that. What was the biggest news in last week? Anybody knows? Ambani what? हाँ? Pre-wedding ceremony. Ambani. कब शादी हुआ? होने वाला है? हो गया ना? कब होने वाला है? My God. मेरे को लगा हो गया. This is actually news to me. But that means I don't read news properly. Crazy. Anything else? Apart from that, any other big news that you may have read again and again? कुछ तो होगा. हाँ? What? अच्छा. What else? Huh? I was waiting for it. Or? First underwater metro was opened. Okay. Nice. What else? First temple in UAE? Hindu temple in UAE. So, pre-wedding ceremony, Creators Award, underwater metro, first Hindu temple in UAE. But chapter number 15 हम पढ़ नहीं पाए. That's how it is. 20 verses. I think so. One of the smallest chapters in the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. One of the smallest chapters is chapter number 15. Only 20 verses. And it is one of the most celebrated chapters. मतलब, it is recommended to read that chapter during Purushottam Mass or during Kartik Mass. It is also called as Purushottam Yoga. Very, very popular chapter, chapter number 15. I thought कि कोई तो ऐसा होगा जो पढ़ के आएगा. प्रथम, you didn't read the chapter. प्रणव, chapter पढ़ा 15? हाँ. 14 पढ़ा. 14 तो मैंने पढ़ाया. टेस्ट तो मैं लूँगा. थोड़ा मैंने ओवरव्यू भी कर लिया उसका टेस्ट का. Okay, ठीक है. So we'll start today. We will recite this. We'll just sing this nice bhajan. Okay, you have this bhajan on the screen over here. I'll open it on my phone as well. आपने भजन सुना है पहले? Anybody? Somebody with the mridanga? I think so. It will be a normal beat. Parama, it's like this. Parama karuna bahudu jana Nitai Gaura Chandra. Okay. It's a very beautiful bhajan by Lochan Das Thakur. We'll sing. Parama karuna bahudu jana Nitai Gaurachandra सब अवतार पर शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कांदा भजो भजो भाई चैतन्य निताय सुहृदा विश्वास करी भजो भजो भाई चैतन्य निताय सुहृदा विश्वास करी भजो भजो भाई चैतन्य विषय शरिया तेरा से न जिया मुखे बोलो हरि हरि विषय शरिया तेरा से न जिया मुखे बोलो हरि हरि देखो रे भाई त्रिभुवनी नाथ हे मोना दोयल दादा पशुपति जुरे पशान विदरे दुनिया जानर बगासा पशुपति जुरे पशान विदरे दुनिया जानर संसार मजिया रोहिल होरिया विपद नोहिल आशा संसार मजिया रोहिल होरिया विपद नोहिल आशा अपन परमा भुजय शरणा कहे लोचन दासा अपन कर्मा बुंजय समरा कहे लोचन दासा परम करुणा बहुदुई जना निताय गौरचंद्र बहुदुई सब अवतार शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कांदा कर शिरोमणि आनंद कांदा सब अवतार कर शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कांदा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is a very beautiful bhajan by Lochan Das Thakur. How many of you have heard this earlier? किसी ने पहले सुना है? Okay, one or two boys. Of course, I expect some bass members to work. But yeah, it's a very beautiful bhajan by Lochan Das Thakur. We'll read the translation and then. Parama Karuna Bahu Duijana. Bahu Duijan means there are two people. Parama Karuna, they are most merciful. You know who they are? Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it says the two lords Nityananda, Nitai, Gaur Chandra are very merciful. Sabha Avatar, Parashiromani, Kevala Ananda Kanda. They are the essence of all incarnations. Essence of all incarnations. The specific significance of these incarnations is that they introduce a process of chanting and dancing that is simply joyful. Parama Karuna, Bahu Duijana, Nitai Gaurachandra, Sabha Avatar, Sarashiromani, Keval Ananda Kanda. That's it. They are only uh, duty is that they are introducing this wonderful process where one can be Ananda Kanda, one can always be joyful. Those of you who came with us to Rishikesh, you can experience every day evening we are going out for Harinam. And it was just Ananda Kanda because nothing else. People are just joining us and people are dancing. You know, those who don't want to dance also they are being pulled in. You know, and those who are pulling in also they are dancing even more. You know? So it was so amazing to see. I was sitting. What happened at one night we were doing we were doing kirtan at Ram Jhula, and I just took a seat in one corner on a bike and I was just observing. I was observing the whole scene. I'm seeing devotees coming out, pulling people inside. You know, people who are walking on down outside, they are dancing and walking aside, and out under say they are, so they were dancing inside in close to the Ganga. It was like a small kind of a barricading, and then there was a pathway to walk by the lane. People are devotees are waving from inside. People are waving from outside. Some people say, come in. Oh, I'm coming, I'm coming. It was such a it's not that they know each other, they know what it's like friends knowing each other. हम यहाँ पे रोज हर संडे मिलते हैं मैं कितना कुछ बोलता हूँ और कोई असर नहीं पड़ता है वहाँ पे just by this process of chanting and dancing, just by calling in a loving way, please come join us in this kirtan, people are coming, you know. And I would see group of people coming and they are carrying big bags and all. They'll just offload the bags. Hey, पकड़ना मैं आता हूँ नाच के. And they would just go and dance and then come back. It was such a joyous activity. So it's Kevala Ananda Kanda. It's the most joyful activity that these two personalities have introduced, Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then second verse says, Bhajo Bhajo Bhai. Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Suridha Vishwasha Kori Vishaya Chadiya Se Rase Majia Mukhe Bolo Hari. Bhajo Bhajo Bhai, please chant the holy name. They are saying, please chant. My dear brother, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. One simply has to chant Hare Krishna, Hari Hari, without any motive. Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya, Surya Vishwasha, with full faith and conviction. Vishaya Chadiya, say Rashi Majay. If you want to get detached from this material world, one has to just chant Hare Krishna, Hari Hari. देखो ओरे भाई त्रिभुवन एनाय एमोन दयाल दाता पशु पाखी जुरे पाषाण विदरे सुनीर जाना gunagata. देखो ओरे भाई. So in the three worlds, there is nobody like them. So the translation is, my dear brother, just try and examine this. Within the three worlds, okay, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon hearing that even the birds and beasts cry and stones melt. Even the birds and the beasts they cry and the stones also they melt. Today I will be showing a video where all the birds are also dancing and crying just by hearing about them. संसार मजिया रोहिले पुरिया से पद नहिलो आशा अपन कर्म भुजरे श्रमण कोहे लोचन दास. He said, but Lochan Das regrets that I am entrapped by sense gratification since I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Then Yamraj, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. Sometimes we don't feel attraction to chant Hare Krishna. That's a punishment of Yamaraj. We don't have the attraction to chant, uh, or we don't have attraction to be connected to this movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's actually some kind of a punishment only. So this is a very beautiful uh, bhajan. You may hear it whenever time permits. Prarama Karuna Bahudujana. So you can get to know the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu more if you come with us to Mayapur in June. So in June we are going to Mayapur, 21st of June to 28th of June. 21st is a Friday night train, 8:30, so it's not disturbing your working schedule. And Saturday, Sunday is an off, and then Monday to Friday, that's a holiday you have to take, and then we come back on Sunday. So if you want to know the more, if you want to experience bhajan, this bhajan or the words don't really hit your heart, but something else more is needed, then you're most welcome to come with us to Mayapur in the end of June. We are announcing it almost 4 months in advance. March, April, May, June, 4 months in advance. So please join us. Please come with us to experience this beautiful thing. This brings back. This brings us back to the discussion of chapter number 15 of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So last Sunday, what did we discuss? Okay. Wait. Before we start, let's recite the Mangala chant. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां सागरजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साधवैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते. तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभैवच पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. We were discussing chapter number 14 last Sunday. Do you remember anything from chapter 14? Quick, we just revise in the next 5 minutes. Yes. Okay, very nice. Anything else? Yes. Okay. What else? Yes, Ryan, you had. Okay. Okay. I'm the source of Brahman. Yes, Vivek, you were saying something. Okay. Suman. Other modes. So there is always a competition between two modes. Sometimes goodness can be prominent, sometimes passion can be prominent, sometimes ignorance can be prominent. There's always a competition between one. So those who are in goodness need not they always be in goodness. They can fall down as well. And those who are in ignorance can also uplift themselves to goodness. Yes, somebody raised Kuldeep. Yeah. Pious people are tough to crack, tough to preach to. Sometimes they may not take up the Krishna consciousness very easily. They said, do good, live good, be happy. You know, it's like a man driving without rules and regulations but doesn't know the direction where to go. Follows all signals, follows all the signboards on the road, but doesn't have a direction to go. So that's like a good, pious man living in a life of mode of goodness, but doesn't know the ultimate objective that the ultimate objective is to achieve Krishna. Yes, Hari Om. Okay, yes, that's very nice. Yes, Mayank, nice specs. Cherry. In the spiritual, there is cherry. Okay. So in the spiritual world, I didn't give an example of the cherry being in the spiritual world. I gave an example that how a monkey jumps from one branch to another branch and is eating fruits on that branch free of cost. No anxiety, jitna chahiye, unlimited food. But one day he finds a big jar of dry fruits and he gets tempted to have that also. So he goes down from the tree and puts his hand in the jar and his hand gets stuck. And while the hunter comes, the hunter he has two options: either he removes the hand or he leaves, but he gets caught by the hunter. If he gets caught by the hunter, then the hunter takes him to the village and makes him jump from one chair to another chair, tell him to put the ring around his body. So we are like that monkey who wanted to have had some greed to enjoy independently, and that's how we have come in the material world. Okay, so hunter will have all the kaju and all the dates and anjeer, and he'll give the monkey what to eat, ground nuts. Okay, अच्छा है आपको एग्जाम्पल याद है. Okay, what else? Anything else? Chapter 14 से कुछ याद है आपको? काफी सारे लोग लास्ट संडे आए थे ना? कितने लोग आए थे लास्ट संडे? सभी लोग आए थे, barring a few. आप नहीं आए थे लास्ट? Yes, Raghavendra. Yeah. So destination is also mentioned, that what will be the destination of people dying in a particular mode of material modes of nature. What will be their destination? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. Okay. Anything else? कोई पहली बार आ रहा है आज ऐसा है? आप पहली बार आ रहे हैं? किसके साथ आया आप? गिरीश के साथ आया हो? मोस्ट वेलकम। गिरीश के साथ आया तो आप मोस्ट वेलकम। ऐसा है, अभी पहली बार आया, किसके साथ? इनके साथ आया। ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं। आज आप सिर्फ श्रवण कीजिए, सिर्फ श्रवण, जस्ट हियरिंग, डोंट डू एनी स्पीकिंग। So, anything else you want to add for chapter 14? So, yeah, this is chapter number 14. The recap is trap. This is the analogy. This is the acronym for the chapter 14. There are three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. There is always a competition between all of them. Like ignorance is nidra, alasya, the symptoms of pramada, no thinking and no doing, which karna hi nahi hai. Passion is like there is a lot of example was given of a lion like mentality, passion. Fox is somebody who sleeps in the night. Ignorance, example of ignorance. Goodness is like sukham and jnanam, both are there. Happiness is there and knowledge is also there, but happiness can lead us to laziness, and jnanam can lead us to pride. Okay, so that is there. So goodness, passion, and ignorance, they all bind. Something binds by goodness, binds by honor and prestige. Passion binds by thrust to do more. Okay, ignorance binds by lust, greed, or sometimes people feel committed. People feel they want to commit suicide. Ignorance. So these are the examples. So hence, guna means ropes, and that's how that rope binds us in this material world tightly. If you remember, there's a picture of a person who was tightened up with the rope. Okay, so we can sometimes ask ourselves a question that, am I a slave or not? Like the smartphone, I use a smartphone or smartphone uses me. If smartphone uses us, then he is my swami, like that, or otherwise I'm a slave to the smartphone. Like Duryodhan was a slave to greed. Uh, kitna bhi ho jaye, he didn't want to give away any kind of land to the Pandavas. Even 5 villages were requested and said कि पूरा दुनिया, मतलब take the whole world, just give 5 villages. He said nothing doing, I will not give anything. So greed is there, lobh is there. Ravana was slave of lust. Like if I kidnap Mother Sita, I'll be able to enjoy, take her to Lanka and enjoy. So he had become a slave of lust, though he was warned not to do that, but still he did that. So we have to understand whether we are slave of what, and there is always a race for prominence. Other guna always is higher than they can be up and down in these gunas also. What kind of actions and destinations these modes of people in these modes, how do they perform, what is the destination is mentioned, and how we can transcend this and go to the spiritual world is also mentioned. Like Pranav was mentioning, one needs the help of a spiritual master to get the knowledge of how to transcend and go out of this three modes of material nature. Okay, and also Krishna concludes the 14th chapter that I impregnate the Brahman, or basically I am the source of Brahman. Okay, and that is what he carries forward in the 15th chapter as well. Okay, so 15th chapter is called as this is Purushottam Yoga is a Sanskrit name, and the name in English is something, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. Yeah, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, Purushottam Yoga, is a very important chapter actually. So this chapter has an acronym called HOME, HOME. First H stands for home or hotel. O stands for on and on, over and over again. M stands for maintenance of the body, mind, and soul. And E stands for essential, essence in three verses. So Krishna speaks about the Chaturshloki Gita. In which chapter? Huh? 10th? Which chapter? Which chapter Krishna speaks in Chaturshloki Gita? 10th? How many of you feel 10th? 10th chapter. How many feel 10th chapter में चतुश्लोकी गीता बोला है? दो लोग. 9th, 8th, 7th, yeah. 10th chapter Krishna speaks the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, verses 10.8 to 10.11. 8, 9, 10 and 11. He speaks the Chaturshloki Gita, which is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Again, he repeats that in this chapter in three verses: 16, 17 and 18. 15.16, 15.17 and 15.18. Okay, that's the essence he repeats again in this chapter. So the first one, that is home or hotel. We all have an experience. How many of you are staying away from home over here? घर से दूर रहता है. हाँ, कश्यप तो घर से दूर रहता है. अभी मुझे बोल रहा था, मुझे मैं घर के पास चले जाऊंगा. Stay away from home. So अक्सर जब हम घर 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 जाते हैं तो हम क्या करते हैं? Like if you ask any student which is the best part of your year, May vacation. Why? I'm relaxed. I go home. I get to eat what I want. I get to sleep and get up at whatever time I want. I can throw my clothes to my mother to wash it. चिंता नहीं है मुझे, कोई worry नहीं है. My mother will make everything that I like. You know, my parents will fulfill all my desires. I have enough time to intimately associate with my friends. There is no problems. There is no homework. Nothing is binding me in my home. That is my home. That is how we like this. Just imagine this home, which we are going to stay for 70, 80 years, if you're very fortunate, yeah, 70, 80 years approximately, is making you feel so comfortable and nice. This home. Imagine the real home, which is spiritual world, how comfortable that would be. How comfortable that would be. So, the spiritual world is our real home, the most beautiful, the eternal home. It's not the material world. You know, it's not the material world. Like in if you go to the hotel, it's more business like, right? There are business, मतलब आपको room दिया जाता है, facilities दी जाती है, but they are all there to gain some money out of you. So they will give you service, but they will also show love and respect to you, but it comes with some. But at home, it's like ocean of love. There is love, but there is ocean of love. There is similarly, there is old age, death. Whereas in the spiritual world, there is no old age, there is no death. Here, there is birth. There is no birth in the spiritual world. So it's more business-like. Okay. So your Lord Krishna is going to reveal a great secret that he has not told till now. That he is not told till now. So I'll tell you one story before we start this chapter. So once there was a queen. She was bathing by the lakeside, and she had removed all her ornaments while she was bathing. Also, when she got out of the lake, she was not able to find her very precious necklace, and she searched everywhere. She could not find it, and then she told the king that I've lost my necklace. King is like, don't worry, I'll get you 10 other. Like, no, no, I want that only. It was given to me by my best friend. What will I tell her? Where did it go? I want that only. So they beat kettle drums. They made an announcement that the necklace is lost. Whoever finds it will get a reward. Everybody started searching around the entire village. Nobody could find it. Finally, there was a man who was continuously walking by that lake in anxiety. Just whole day he was walking to and fro, to and fro, to and fro. So there happened to be a sage who came by that lake, and when he came there, he asked the man what happened. That man was a little afraid. He's like, hey, nothing, nothing, nothing. Then tell me what happened. You look very distressed. He's like, hey, actually, you see there in that water, the necklace is there. But whenever I jump in the water, I'm not able to catch it. You know? So the sage looked at the water and he smiled. He said, I'll tell you how you can get that necklace. Uh, so then the man said, yeah, yeah, you tell me, but you please don't ask me for a share of this. So he's like, hey, you tell me. So then he told him. Then the sage climbed up on the tree which was just next to the lake. The crow had taken the necklace and kept it on one branch, and the reflection of that branch and the necklace came in the water. And when the man saw, oh my god, I was just thinking that the necklace is there in the no in the water. Then the sage said, see, now I have helped you. You sit down, I'll tell you what. I want to tell you something. See the way we are searching for this necklace and things in this water which we are not able to get. Similarly, we are trying to enjoy this material world, which is a reflection of the real spiritual world. We are trying to find happiness in this material world, but we'll never find happiness. We'll never find sukha. We'll never find permanent bliss because it is a reflection. The real jewel or the real mango is in the tree which is standing in the spiritual world. So, in this chapter of uh, 15, Krishna gives a very beautiful analogy in the beginning, 5 verses. In fact, the first verse he starts with an analogy that this whole material world is an upside down banyan tree. Upside down banyan tree. You know? See, there's a marker over there. Can you bring that marker? Any artist? You know how to draw? आपको ड्रॉ करने का आता है? उल्टा पेड़ ड्रॉ कीजिए. कभी ड्रॉ नहीं किया होगा. उल्टा पेड़, हाँ. नीचे से मैनियन, हाँ, ऐसे, वेरी गुड. और ऊपर उसके रूट्स ऊपर निकालिए ऐसे एकदम लंबे लंबे ऊपर तक जाते हुए, हाँ. सो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव सीन सच अ ट्री? इसने देखा है? एनीबडी इज गॉन टू फॉरेस्ट सफारी? कभी देखा आपने ऐसा कोई पेड़? हाँ, बस बस, अमेजिंग, थैंक यू. This shows that your experience in the material world. Sit, please. So, this is there a tree like this in the material world? Have you ever seen a tree like this? No, never. Doesn't exist. But there is a tree which is something like this, right? We see around the lake. हम वृंदावन जाते हैं, बहुत सारे कुंड के आजू बाजू जाते हैं, बहुत सारे उसके बाद trees होते हैं. फिर बाद में we see the reflection of the tree in the water. We find many trees like this. We will never find trees upside down. So Krishna gives a very beautiful analogy in this first verse of the 15th chapter. He says this material world is an upside down banyan tree. And the branches and the fruits of the banyan tree are like the sense objects that are trying to enjoy. Okay, and the roots are upwards. Okay, and on the top of the banyan tree, on the roots is sitting Brahma. Brahma is sitting there. So it's an upside down banyan tree. And he says it is Ashwatam. Ashwatam means that it is something which is not permanent. Ashwatam. It's not permanent. Banyan tree. It's referred to as Ashwatam. Something else. So spiritual world is like a real mango tree on the bank of the river, and material world is like a reflection. You know, sometimes you go to somebody's house, उनके showcase में artificial fruits रखे होते हैं, मालूम है? There is mango, there is apple, there is orange. You take the mango and bite. Can you eat it? Not eat. It is artificial mango. It's not the real mango. That's the same thing in this material world. So our material body is like a bad copy of the spiritual world. It's like a bad copy. Like you see over here, this is, what is this? Real marble. This is artificial marble, Sarmaika, or you can say kind of a, wallpaper or something like that. It's like a reflection. This is real color. हम सब ऐसे ही आए थे बाहर. हम में से कोई भी ऐसे बाहर नहीं आया. Nobody, or everybody comes out like this. Everybody. Then उसे अच्छे से नाला धोला के अच्छे कपड़े पहना के फिर आके दिखाया जाता है कि ये देखो तुम्हारा बच्चा. ठीक है, So I've seen the baby coming out. It doesn't come like this. It comes out like this only, exactly like this. All blood, mucus, pus. Some hair is there, some hair is not there. Everything is there. So spiritual body is pure, doesn't pass any stool and urine. The material body has 9 holes. You get up in the morning, everything that is dirty inside comes out first. You cannot start your day without turning the dirt in the body. Can you start your day? You cannot start your day. You cannot even meet people. You get up in the morning, go into house, sir, मुझे आपसे मिलना है, मुझे एक 2 minute. Can I just take a bath and come? You not even meet people. Can I just brush and come? You not even meet people. Because the whole material body is full of dirts. Full of dirts. So Lord's beauty in the spiritual world is everlasting. In the material body, in the material world, the beauty is short-lived. It is short-lived. Just for few years. Not forever. Just for few years. You know? See this upside down banyan tree. See, this is the original spiritual world. And that's a reflection of the spiritual world. See that the branches and the twigs are going down and down, so much down. And on top of that roots is okay. You see this blue thing? This is a big ocean of desire. Because of this desire, we come here. Just because of desire. Desire different from that of Krishna, the Lord's desire. We come here. When there is disalignment, you come to the material world. Material world. So right now we are in Q because we are anybody not suffering? Anyone? कोई तो होगा ऐसा महात्मा सुदुर्लभ. Somebody must be there who's not suffering at all. Not suffering. So we are in the negative axis and we are all trying to become happy. So from negative axis, when we go up, there is peace. This is 0, 0. You see the face smiling next to it? No expression. So Gnanis, yogis, Jains, Buddhists, they all come in 0, 0. Brahma Jyotir. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. That's it. That's how they are. And you see, uske upar is a blissful personality. So, like, you have, if I ask you a question, which is great? Peace is great or love is great? Peace is not good. Right? Peace is great or love is great? How many of you say love is great? And how many say peace is great? अरे आप लोग तो ऐसे जवाब नहीं, जैसे मैंने ऐसा डू और डाई वाला क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया हो. मतलब अगर आप जवाब नहीं देंगे, मतलब जवाब दे दिया तो अभी मर जाओगे, ऐसा है. इतना डरते हो यार. How it is not. We are here to discuss Bhagavad Gita and apply it in our lives. We are not here to take a decision on somebody and dismiss somebody from our lives. We are here to learn and discuss. So I presume those who didn't raise their hand, they opt for peace. Okay. So like a husband and wife, they are fighting a lot. Real life example. Real life example. Husband and wife, they fight a lot. They quarrel a lot. बहुत झगड़ा करते हैं. They are where they are right now. नहीं negative access. पीछे fighting a lot. वो like, I am not going to talk to you. You go in your room, I will go in my room. Okay. She will make the food, keep it on the table. He will get the grocery, keep it on the table. That's it. He will get the salary, keep it on the table. Now where they are, वो अपने room में खुश. Then they realize after 1 week, how can we stay like this? We forgive each other and we stay with love and harmony. So then they go to positive access. They go to positive access. So even with God, you want to, have a loving loving relationship with Him, and or you want to go to Brahma Jyotir and be Shanti, 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 alone by yourself. We have to decide. With God, you want to have a loving relationship, or you want to just go to Brahma Jyotir and be Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Because from Brahma Jyotir, you can come back down, na? There's a risk to fall down. So that we have to decide what kind of a relationship we want to have. So this is Brahma sitting on the top, and there are 14 planetary systems. Okay, in the middle we are there. Okay, This river is that is I was mentioning is the river where desire is that we want to act independently. That is why this tree exists, and hence we come to this reflection tree, which is dukhalayam ashashvatam. Okay, birth, old age, death, and disease is there. So how do you cut this tree with the axe? Krishna mentions. I'll read that. You can cut it with an axe of detachment and attachment to. This is the way you can cut. So beauty in this world is only skin deep, but see, somebody's beautiful for some time and doesn't remain forever. It's just skin deep beauty. And yeah, this is the first verse. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Urdhvamulam Adashakham Ashvatham Prahur Avyayam Chantam Shiyasya Parnani Yastam Veda Saveda Bre. It's like Urdhva Mulam, root, Urdhva Mulam, and the Mulam, the roots is upwards. It's going upwards. You'll find reflection. It's upwards. It's going upward. Ashwatam, that is the banyan tree. It is referred to as a banyan tree. Ashwatam also means something that is not permanent. That's the analogy that Krishna gives to begin this chapter of Bhagavad. The material world is an upside down banyan tree. हम एसओएस में डिस्कस करते हैं ना स्पिरिचुअल एंड मटेरियल वर्ल्ड के बारे में बताएंगे भगवद गीता में तो दिस इज द चैप्टर which speaks about the spiritual world. Okay, it branches spreading upwards. Second verse down, up and down. It is nourished. So how is it nourished? The watering process is the three modes of material nature. That is how it gets nourishment. With our gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, usse this tree gets nourished and keeps growing. Uske branches and twigs are the sense objects. I told you that the sense gratification objects are the branches and the twigs, and its secondary roots are extending everywhere beyond even the human society. Its secondary roots are even extending everywhere beyond the human society. Okay. So the tender leaves, the branches, the twigs, they are all compared to the sense objects. They are all compared to the sense objects. You can come to the second verse. If you have the books, you can open the books. Otherwise, I'll have to break this and I'll have to show you. So this is the translation. The first verse, the Supreme Personality of God said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is a knower of the Vedas. So this is the breakup of that thing that I was just showing here. That it branches are spreading downwards, upwards, is nourished by the watering process of three modes of material nature. Twigs are the sense objects, and the secondary roots are extending everywhere. अदाश्चोर्ध्वं प्रस्थाशतस्य शाखा गुणा प्रवृद्धा विषया प्रवाला अधश्च मूलानि अनुशासशान्ति कर्मानुबन्धानि मनुष्यलोके. So karmanubandhini, with this karmanubandha, we keep moving ahead. So that's the second verse. So the branches of this tree extend downwards and upwards, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to fruitive actions of the human society. Because of the karmanubandhini, there is constant action. When Krishna is saying, don't get confused by all this, because it is indeed very confusing sometimes to understand this. The real form of this tree can't be perceived, but you cannot imagine this kind of a tree because hai nahi aisa tree. It is a reflection. We have to understand the real tree is the spiritual world. So don't be confused. You start thinking ऐसा पेड़ कहाँ मिलेगा और मैं बाहर जाके ढूंढूं पेड़ ऐसा तो नहीं मिलेगा आपको. It's a reflection. It's an analogy. It's a way of explaining that Krishna is saying this is what you're trying to find out of this material world is temporary, because the real tree is in the spiritual world. Okay, but what you do is cut this tree with the axe of detachment. With the axe, you can generally axe is used in the forest to cut off wood. Similarly, that axe of detachment is used to cut off this tree. And after cutting this tree, one should search for the spiritual world. One has to search. That's why I'm saying asanga shastrena dridena chetva ashandra sastrena. With asanga, detachment, shastrena, that axe, weapon of asanga, one has to cut down this tree. Okay? And then work towards the surrendering process, which is search for the spiritual world. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivrata kama द्वन्द्वैर विमुक्ता सुख दुखा समाग्नैर गच्छन्ति अमूढ़ पदम अव्ययम तत् So padam avyayam tad, my dear Arjuna, we should come out of the false prestige that I am the proprietor, I am the owner, and go back to the spiritual world. We should go beyond this sukha and dukha. Dvandeir vimukta sukha dukha samagne. One has to go out. Gachanti amhuda. There are two kinds of mudas. One who thinks that I am not this soul but body. I am this body. That's one kind of a muda. Another kind of the muda is that there is no difference between the soul and the super soul. That's a second kind of a muda. The amuda, here Krishna is speaking about amuda. So if you carefully see, we are all looking for happiness. We all are looking for happiness. Sometimes people may say, कि अरे no, I like both. दोनों का combination होना अच्छा है. Good. थोड़ा खुशी भी होना चाहिए, थोड़ा दुख भी होना चाहिए, वरना there is no spice in life. मजा क्या है फिर? But if you see, actually, we are all looking for happiness. Say for in 1 year you got 7 on 10 in an examination. The next year you would want to go to 8 on 10. In the next you would want to again increase to 8.5 or 9 on 10. Nowhere you will feel, अरे यार 9 on 10 आ गया बस अभी next set भगवान I want to fail. A person owning even a business, if his business is booming and he's making profits, 300 crores, 400 crores, 500 crores, he doesn't pray. When will fire break out in my factory and I will have losses for 1 year? Nobody prays like this. We always pray for constant happiness. Constant happiness. And that constant happiness can be achieved only in the spiritual world. Or can be achieved only in the spiritual world, cannot be achieved in the material world. Okay. Hence, Krishna says that Gachanti Amuda Sukha Dukha Samagnai. So he's saying those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from dualities of happiness and distress, and who unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to the eternal kingdom. Okay? So there are two kinds of Mudas as I'm mentioning. One who doesn't accept that he is not this soul but body. Another is that he accepts that there is no difference between the soul and the super soul. So like a thief in the jail thinks, okay, the prime minister has come to the jail, so this prime minister is also a thief. Another is that the prime minister, prime minister is also a thief and he has fallen down. Another thinking is this: the thief again thinks, I'm in the jail. The prime minister has come to the jail. That means I am also the prime minister. Amuda. So people think that Krishna has come in the human form to this material world. Krishna has also fallen down like the way we have fallen down. Or Krishna has come to this material world and I am also in this material world. I am also human being, so I am also Krishna, or I can also become God. I am also God. That is another foolish kind of a category person. This is another Amuda. So one has to understand that Krishna is Supreme Lord and I am a tiny Jiva. Tiny, a small person. Tiny Jiva. Okay. And then we can enter the spiritual world. Okay. That brings us to the second discussion. So first was home or hotel. How many of you see Mr. Bean? Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean नहीं देखते हो? तो मैं बचपन में बहुत देखता था मिस्टर बीन में एक एपिसोड था जहाँ वो होटल में जाता है, मालूम है आपको क्या करता है होटल में जाने के बाद? वो होटल का रूम की लेता है और फिर होटल के रूम में जाता है और फिर बाद में पूरा अपना बैग खोलता है, उसमें से अपना कर्टन निकालता है, कर्टन लगाता है, जैसे उसे घर का कर्टन लेके आता है, फिर बाद में वॉल्स को पेंट कर देता है अपने घर के हिसाब से, फिर बाद में सारे रिलेटिव्स का फ्रेम्स निकालता है, लगाता है ऐसे, वहीं पुट्स इट एवरीवेयर। एंड देन उसको बाथरूम नहीं मिलता है तो बाथरूम को काट के दूसरे के बाथरूम में जाके नहाता है वो, एंड देन वो ये सब कुछ करने के बाद उसके दरवाजे के बाहर होम स्वीट होम लगाता है, यू नो। एंड लुकिंग एट दैट वी थिंक क्या बेवकूफ है ये यहाँ पे आया है, एंड इज गोइंग टू स्टे देयर फॉर ओनली 2-3 डेज, बट उसने अपने होटल के रूम को होम बना दिया है। हमने भी वो ही किया है, हमने हमारे होटल के होटल जैसे लाइफ है हमारा टेम्पररी टाइनी जीवा है, ये मेड परमानेंट, पूरा लेके चलते हैं हम लोग, हमारा ये पूरा, we don't have any difference, there is no difference between us and Mr. Bean. He is there in that acting in that movie or that video, and we are here in the real life, we are all behaving the same, you know, we are all behaving the same. He's going to stay there for 2-3 days, we are also staying here for 2-3 days as compared to Brahma's calculation. 60-70 years, what is it? Nothing, nothing. You just see na 2024 divided karo 70 divided by 2024, it is also after Christ. The calculation of the year कितना होता है 70 divided by 224, 3%, 3% भी नहीं होगा, उससे भी कम होगा. That is how durlabh is our lifetime lifespan, you know. 0.0 हाँ 2%, 2.5%. हमने एकदम परमानेंट सोल्यूशन बना के रख दिया है. This is home or hotel. That is why the analogy is between home and hotel. So hotel को हमने home बना दिया है. No, never will you go to a hotel and make that as your home. Will you do that? With this material world, we have done that. We come here and make it as a permanent residence. जीवन के साथ भी और जीवन के बाद भी. That's the slogan, na? LIC. So think about it. This is a very beautiful section. Krishna is saying it's an upside down banyan tree. You're trying to enjoy an artificial mango. अभी mango का season आने वाला है. Artificial mango. You're trying to enjoy artificial mango. नहीं मजा आएगा. That is why every now and then we try to enjoy and we are very soon disappointed. Very soon we are done with it. Enjoyment is done. We know when we are enjoying also, we know अरे ये खत्म होने वाला है. You understand? You know, your year ends and you get an increment letter. बस ये कल तक खत्म हो जाएगा. कल वो मुझे वापस बुलाएगा रिव्यू मीटिंग के लिए, बोलेगा तेरा नेक्स्ट ईयर का टारगेट ये है, कल तक खत्म हो जाएगा. जो खुशी मुझे मिल रही है इंक्रीमेंट लेटर से वो कल ही खत्म हो जाएगी. वरना वही दिन पे कुछ और 2-3 और फ्लावरी वर्ड्स बोल दिया तो वही टाइम पे खत्म हो जाएगी. It is just short lived. That happiness is only short lived. That brings us to the second one, on and on, over and over again. Krishna here speaks about the dham, the dhama paramam. Okay, so he speaks about the dham. Dham means like we go to Vrindavan dham, Dwarka dham. Dham is known as abode of the Lord. Okay, he speaks about the dham. You can recite this very popular verse. Na tadbhasate suryo, na shashanko na pavaka, यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. तद्धाम परमं मम. My abode of mine. So in my abode there is no sunlight, there is no fire, there is no electricity, and one goes to that spiritual abode, doesn't come back here. Why there is no sun? Because everybody's body is shining. It is enough to illuminate the entire place. There is no requirement of a sun. And we have come here. Sometimes people ask, why have we come here? No, you have come here because you haven't gone there. Once you go there, you'll never come back here. And those who have not come here can come here because they would want to enjoy away from Krishna, then they would come here. But once you come here, once you have had the bitter taste, you know, there's a saying, na? Once bitten, twice shy. एक बार, once a child is burnt with fire, every time when the child sees fire, will be very careful. So once we have got the taste of the material world, and we go back to the spiritual world, we would never want to come again because we always would recollect. Yeah, कैसा था यहाँ पे? You know, how was it यहाँ पे? We would always remember. So you would never want to come. So now a living entity will not be satisfied until he reaches that supreme abode, because it is constitutional position to be related with Krishna, as is explained in 70. So he will not be satisfied unless and until one reaches the supreme abode. He will not be satisfied. You see, this is a spiritual abode. Krishna has 5 rasas, has 5 relationships with different devotees. You know, Sakhya ras, Tasya ras, Madhurya ras, Shantya ras, and Vatsalya ras, Vatsalya prem. You see those gopis in the first picture, they're expressing his Vatsalya ras. They're catching Lala and telling him, oh, we'll give you a nice Mohantal, nice Laddu. Can you sing for me? Krishna says, what to sing? I'll dance for you. I'll dance for you. So he dances for me. Krishna there is with the cows. He's also called as Govinda or Gopal. And his abode is called as Goloka, the place where there are only cows. Goloka. Planet Loka. Loka means place. Go means cows. Goloka, obviously cows. That's why you see a picture of Krishna only with cow. You never see with a horse or any other animal. This cow is the most dear to Krishna. And if you want to serve the cows, please join us next weekend at Talashari Camp. It's sold out. It's fully sold out, but still you can ask for some waiting list tickets we have. So we have 500 gir cows in Talashari. You can come and do some go seva to the beloved, the most beloved animal. Krishna spends his time. You see this photograph of Krishna with cows. You'll never see with, you have seen any photo with Krishna apart from cows. Stands with cows. And his planet is also named after it, Goloka. In the spiritual world, you know, Lord in the spiritual world learns nothing. He just gets up and he goes to graze the cows. That's it. Takes the flute, goes to graze the cows. That's it. There's nothing. You see his friends over here and see playing. There's nothing. We have to get up in the morning and do so many things. The Lord does nothing. And that's the Madhurya Ras and Krishna, Radha and Krishna, conjugal love. So 5 types of loving exchanges of the Lord with soul is in the spiritual world. And one can go there. How one goes there? By doing akarma. Okay? When the living entity chooses to serve Krishna, it is called as karma, that is devotional service. The karma frees one from the cycle of birth and death and also awards him with the supreme destination, topmost destination that is there is by just performing a karma. Devotional service. The akarma is doing devotional service. Let me show you something about the spiritual world. Spiritual world is described in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Quite a description. You'll see some verses today. You can recite this after me. Vasanti yat purusha sarva vaikunta murtaya ye nimitta nimittena dharmin ardhyam harina dharmin aradhyam harinam. So in the Vaikuntha planets, all the residents are similar in form to the Supreme Personality. Everybody, all the Vishnudutas have similar bodies. The four-handed form, bluish, beautiful bodies. To the Supreme Personality, they all are engaged in devotional service to the Lord without desires for sense gratification. So the male and female both have spotless beauty, spotless attractive beauty, but they are not attracted to each another. They are just attracted to serving the Supreme Lord. They're just attracted to serving the Supreme Lord. See, this is Vishnu being served in Vaikuntha. All are having same bodies, similar. So in the Vaikuntha planets, in the Supreme, Yatyachadhyapumam Ashte Bhagwan Shabda Gochara Satvam Vistabhya Rajan Swanam no Mridham Vrisha Swanam no Mridhyan Vrisha. So in the Vaikuntha planets, there is a supreme personality of Godhead who is the original person and who can be understood through Vedic literature. He's full of uncontaminated mode of goodness. So he's like we are in Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. But he's beyond that. Vishuddha Sattva is beyond that. With no place for passion and ignorance, absolutely zero. He contributes to religious progresses for the devotees. This is the abode. This is like when I went to the Ram Mandir, I was feeling like this, golden gates. There are 18 golden gates in Ram Mandir temple, pure gold. It's like I felt like that, all golden gates everywhere. And then you have celestial planes over there. It's not like over there you have to save money to get a plane for yourself. You have to just go and request the Supreme Lord, my dear Lord, I need a plane to go. I want to do some service for execution of your service. I desire a plane, and the plane comes on the spot. So that's how it is. In those Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests which are very auspicious. In those forests, there are trees, there are desire trees. And all these seasons, they are filled with flowers and fruits because everything is in the Vaikuntha planet spiritual and personal. So over here, if you go to a banana tree and ask for a banana, it will give you a banana. And if you ask for a mango, it will still give you a banana. It will not give you a mango. But in the spiritual world, you ask any tree to give you anything, it will give you that. So trees can supply you with anything that you desire. The same tree can give you bananas also, mangoes also, grapes also, and apples as well. In those Vaikuntha planets, there are okay, fine. This is done. When the king, when the king of the bees hums in a high pitch, singing the glories of the Lord, there is a temporary lull in the noise of the pigeon, cuckoo, the crane, the charkrava, the swan, the parrot, the partridge, and the peacock. Such transcendental birds stop their own singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord. So you see, this is spiritual world. So, so as it was mentioned that verse, that all these birds they stop to make their respective noises when a bee comes to speak over there, glorifying the Lord's qualities and the pastimes. So you see, you have the bee is also chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and glorification is done by the bee. So transcendental birds stop their own singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord. And there are, dozens of different fruits and dozens of different flowers and flower trees, but they all bow down when Tulsi Maharani is there. So although the flowering plants like the Mandara, Kunda, Kurabaka, Utpala, Champaka, Aragana, Punga, Nagashar, Nagakeshara, Bakula, Lily, and Parijata are full of transcendental fragrances. They are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulsi. For Tulsi is given special preference by the Lord who garlands himself with the Tulsi flowers. Tulsi is not one of the most fragrant flowers, but when all these fragrant flowers come close to Tulsi, they all bow down to Tulsi because Krishna personally adores Tulsi. Where's the garland of Tulsi at the feet of Tulsi, at the feet of the village Krishna? Tulsi is there. When you offer bhoga, he offers bhoga only with the Tulsi leaf. It's the most favorite. So in the Vaikuntha planets, the inhabitants fly in their airplanes accompanied by their wives and consorts and eternally sing of the character and the activities of the Lord, which are always devoid of all inauspicious qualities. while singing the glories of the Lord, they deride even the presence of the blossoming Madhavi flowers, which are fragrant and laden with honey. So the fragrance of the Madhavi flowers is so strong that sometimes that can distract them from speaking about the glories of the Lord or singing the glories of the Lord. So they will tell them to keep the fragrance also down because they should not be distracted to sing the glories of the Lord. Understand? Sometimes we may get distracted, na? We pass by somebody, or we enter a lift with somebody has put a full bottle of perfume, and for a second we forget what I was thinking also. मतलब मैं लिफ्ट में एंटर हुआ था सोचते हुए कुछ करूंगा but as soon as I entered the lift I got distracted by the fragrance of the perfume. That's the same thing that even over here the Madhavi flowers, they have such strong fragrance. The Vishnudutas, even if they are going with their wives in the airplanes, and they would get attracted by the Madhavi flowers fragrance, but they would want them to be mellowed so that they can always remember the glories of the Lord. And there are so many such glories that are mentioned. This is like, see, Vaikunta plains. If you go to Dehu, you will hear a beautiful pastime about how Vaikunta plain came to take Tukaram Maharaj. It was something like this. See, and like in the entire jewelry set, the most important thing is the pendant, pendant in between. So in the spiritual world, the most important thing is Golok Vrindavan. Okay. Yatra nisarga durvaira सहसा निर्मृदा मृगा सहसा निर्मृगादया मित्र निवाजितावाश धृतारुत्तरशदि धृता धृतारुत्तरशकादिकाम्. Vrindavan is a transcendental abode for the Lord where there is no hunger, anger, or thirst. Though naturally inimical, both human beings and fierce animals live there together in. You see, this is a material world. Lion is catching for the deer, naturally inimical animals. In the spiritual world, it is different. They all sit peacefully and spend time with Krishna. That's the spiritual world. That's what Krishna is explaining here, that how one can go to the spiritual world is by karma or devotional service. That's about this. That's what he is narrating over here. That Natad Basati Suryo Nashashatram Gatvan Anavartante Taddama Paramamo. See, but just by seeing right now, I can see, all of you are happy and smiling. Just imagine you going there. You wouldn't want to come back here again. That's how it is. But what is our real identity? This is another important verse. You can recite after me. You can memorize some of these verses, are very nice. Mamaivaṁsho jivaloke Jiva sanatana Manashasra indriyani Prakriti stani karasati. So what is our identity? Our at home, we strongly connect ourselves with father and mother. Why? Because our body is quite similar to, yeah, that's how we connect to them. My father, my mother. Similarly, Krishna is saying that these all jiva are just my amsha. They are all part and parcel. They are all my part and parcel. Mama vamsha jiva loki, jiva bhuta sanatana. They are eternally my parts and parcel. But because of wanting to enjoy mana shastra indriyani, they are trying to enjoy prakriti. Prakriti stani karshati. They are trying to enjoy the prakriti again and again. And Krishna will elaborate how the jiva is carrying the senses, struggling karasati in this world, is changing bodies regularly. Come to the 8th verse, Krishna says that, like, he gives a very good, again, beautiful analogy. He says, like the way air carries fragrance, similarly the jiva, desires are carried in the mind, intelligence, and Shariram yad avapnoti यच्चापि उत्क्रमातेश्वरा घृत्वैतानि संयति वायुर्गन्धानन् इष इवाशय. So the living entity in the material world carries different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another kind of body. The mind, intelligence, and false ego constantly carries oneself from one place to another place. Thus, taking another gross body, the jiva enjoys sense gratification. Shrotam chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam grihanam eva cha adhishtaya manashaya vish- vishayanupasevate. So with the sense objects, the living entity is thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. So we are leaving one body to take another body basis the things that we carry in a subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego, which keeps moving. And that's the disparity in this material world. If you see there are people, different kinds of people in this material world with different bodies. Somebody is born rich, somebody is not so rich, somebody is strong, somebody is weak or handicapped, somebody is beautiful, somebody is not so beautiful, somebody is healthy, and somebody is diseased. You know, how is this? This is all because of the reactions of our previous actions. This is all because of the karma. Okay, the soul is carried in a subtle body, and the subtle body carries good and bad, like the air carries good and bad fragrances. It carries. Air doesn't have any fragrance, but it carries good and bad fragrances. Similarly, subtle body carries. According to our activities, according to our karma, good and bad karma, we get the next body. And according to our mentality, our next body is then generated. That's the ninth verse. And Srila Prabhupada says that your mental existence, you're transformed into a tangible form in the next life. That's very important. Like sometimes we see, uh, like in my CA days, there was a boy used to behave, used to always hear rock music. All the full day he would just close himself and hear rock music, hip hop music, dance like an American, speak like an American because he wanted to go to America. I don't know where is he now, but you just imagine in this life he is not able to go to America, but he constantly had that target of going to America. I want to go to America. I want to go to America. The next life, the subtle body, next or any other life, the subtle body will carry him to America. And after wanting him to carry him to America, the Prakriti will check, does he have the karma, good and bad. According to his karma, if he doesn't have any good karma, then he may get a body of a dog also in America. American dog is not a bad idea, right? They get expensive biscuits to eat, to go in nice cars. That's a thing. So our subtle body carries that mentality that we have. So even if we have not done actions, but if you have a constant mentality, many times people join temple, but they have desires that मैं जाऊंगा, वहाँ जाऊंगा, America जाऊंगा. People have desires. So that happens. So who can see and who cannot see them? Those who are spiritually elevated souls, they can see that okay, the life is there, the spirit soul is there in all the material bodies, and the Supreme Lord is also there. Okay, that's the 10th and the 11th verse. Okay, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of a body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in the knowledge can see, who is Gnana Chakshu, who has got knowledge Chakshu, he can actually see everybody in its respective position. And that's what. So even sense enjoyment is impossible without the help of the Lord. Krishna now describes how things are taking place in this material world, and thus he establishes knowledge. Okay, that brings us to the third section, which is one of, again, very important. Krishna explains while you are living in this world, how you are getting everything, how are you getting all the things is explained here. Like while we are living in this banyan tree, one can develop Krishna consciousness by appreciating that Krishna is the maintainer of everything. That's how one can get out of this material world, by living in the banyan tree also. So over here Krishna breaks down that how we are dependent on Krishna arranges for cosmological arrangements, terrestrial arrangements, physiological arrangements, and spiritual arrangements. Everything is manage and phenomenally maintain the world by the Supreme Lord. Actually, we are not doing anything. You'll see that. So we observe the world around us, how everything, we are dependent on Krishna for many things. Show that over here now. Krishna is saying, I'm the source of light in the 12th verse. You can recite after me. Ya aditya gatam tejo jagat bhasayate akhilam yachandramshi yachagnav yachandramshi yachagnav tattejo vidhi mamakam. So you see this? The sun is providing light and energy to the all planetary systems. Okay. He's saying, yeah, Aditya Gatam Tejo Jagat Bhasyate Akhilam. You see here, sun is providing light to all. In fact, sun and moon both, they are the eyes of the Virat Purusha. When we are reading about in the 11th chapter, we came across that how the sun and moon are the eyes of the Virat Purusha. And similarly, the sun helps in growing of the plants, the energy that is given, the photosynthesis that we read in the school books. That whole process is, see, the plants, they grow, they nourish, they get life. That energy that helps in growing is through the sun. And subsequently, Krishna mentions that how through the moon he supplies the juices in the fruits. Four kinds of tastes that are there, six kinds of tastes that are there: sour, pungent, sweet, saltish. There are six kind of taste. Okay, bitter. These all tastes are supplied by the moon. So if you like to have pineapple or a mango, but it doesn't have any juice in it, you will not have that pineapple or mango. So none of our fathers or forefathers have put up the sun and the moon. Anyone? Not even NASA. Okay, none of us. And then Krishna says, Gamavishya cha bhutani dharayami hamojasa pushnami cha pushnami chaushadhi sarvam soma bhutva rasatmaka. Say Gamavishya cha bhutani. This is a verse that comes in the seminar. I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay into orbit. They're staying into orbit. Such big planets, they are floating. They are floating because of my energy. Okay. See, I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life in all the vegetables. I supply the juice of life in all the vegetables. So by the glance, Krishna is saying, by my glance at the nature, through sun and the moon, I help in growing, giving life, and I also help in giving the juices. You know, scientists, they say many things, but they cannot even create one drop of blood. They cannot even create one drop of blood. So even the atheists, if they want to scold Krishna, they have to first eat the grains that Krishna has given, and then they can scold Krishna. Understand? They cannot make grains in the factory, or they cannot even produce grains. So even if those who don't believe in the Lord, they have to first get the energy of the Lord to, to chastise and speak about Him also. Yeah, that's how it is. So now the Supreme Lord is very merciful. He knows that in the human form of life we will eat many things. हम बहुत कुछ खाते हैं, right? जैसे भी क्लास के बाद भी अच्छा खासा प्रसाद रहेगा, तो हम बहुत कुछ खाएंगे. तो उसे digest कौन करेगा? Krishna says, I am that energy in the fire, as a fire in the belly that digests the food. He's saying, Aham Vaishvashvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita Pranapana Samayukta Pachyami Annam Chaturvidha. So there are four kinds of things that are category of eating. One is something that you chew, another is something that you lick, another is something that you suck, and another is something that you sip, drink. All these four kinds of different varieties of foodstuffs that you eat, I create the fire in the belly for it to be digested. So whenever we keep having feast in temple, you can always pray to Krishna, my dear Krishna, please help me in digesting it. If there is no fire in the belly to digest, you will get indigestion. You get stomach problems. Krishna only provides that Agni for it to be digested. Vaishvanaro, that is Agni is provided by the Supreme Lord. That's why we should pray to Krishna. You know? And he knows that these guys will also overeat. Sometimes they will overeat also. So he has created jadi booties also. Herbs, natural herbs are there. Jadi booties. When you overeat, to churan le lo ya kuch, natural jadi booties are there. This is there. Who has created this? Krishna has created this. So we are all dependent. So having concluded that he is the goal of the Vedas, Krishna will speak the essence of the Vedanta in the three verses that is conclusive, establishes his possession. So sometimes people think, when they eat a lot and they get a lot of strength, they feel that they are the controller. And after getting the control, they start fighting amongst each other. मैं ज़्यादा ताकतवर हूँ या तू ज़्यादा ताकतवर है. I am a more powerful nation. You are a less powerful nation. They start fighting amongst each other, and that's how he speaks the next verse, which is the 15th verse. If you think you are the controller, no, you are not. I am. So he says, सर्वस्य चाहं हृदिशा निविष्टो मता स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद् वेदविदेव चाहम्. Very popular, very famous verse. He says, I am seated in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishtu. I am sitting in everybody's heart. Hridi, in the heart. Mata smritir gnanam apohanam chavit. From me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness of how you can devote yourself to me. By all the Vedas, Vedescha sarvair ahameva vedyo, Vedanta krit veda videva aham. He's saying, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedas. There's nothing beyond this. Final. मैंने ही compile किया है. Of all the Vedas, I am only known and I also know all the Vedas. That's it. There's nothing beyond me. I am the compiler of the Vedas. He's referring to Ved Vyas. मैंने ही compile किया है. And everybody is sitting in my heart, and from me comes forgetfulness, remembrance, and knowledge. Right? So that's why sometimes people, when they think that I am the controller, no, you are not. Krishna is saying, I am the controller. So I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of the foodstuffs that you eat. Unless the Supreme Lord helps in digesting, we cannot even eat because you may feel indigestion. That's why he says, I'm seated in everybody's heart. I'm seated in everybody's heart as a super soul. And from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Yeah. She's saying, from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. You see, some people raise their hands, some people forget, some people are still thinking what is happening. Imagine you get up in the morning, but you don't remember your name. होता है ऐसे कभी कभार. Imagine waking up one morning unable to remember who you are. Thus, we depend on the Lord for every aspect of our sustenance. This is reality. This is not something untrue. But I'm to be known by all the Vedas. I'm to be known by all the Vedas. I am the compiler of the Vedanta. I have compiled them. Vedas. And I also know all the Vedas. So why does he present the Vedic knowledge? Because the living entity needs to understand Krishna for his own benefit. The Vedas give the right direction to people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to. So by understanding the Vedas, one can understand these three things: Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojana. His relationship with God, the process of approaching Him, and after how to attain the supreme goal. So one understands these things. Gets the relationship with God. That brings us to the last section, the essence in three verses. Again, very important. So I was mentioning that Krishna speaks in Chaturshloki Bhagavad in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and the same similar summary is given by him in the 15th chapter, verses 16, 17, and 18 to conclude. 19, 20 is the last verses. 16, 17, 18, he summarizes the entire philosophy again, just in three verses. So here he speaks about, in summary, I'll tell you, here he speaks about three things. One is there are two kinds of people. Okay, we can decide this after me. Dvau imau purushau loke sharas chakshara evacha sharas sarvani bhutani kutasto akshara uchyate. So dvau means two kinds of people, shara and akshara. Shara is the one who is fallible, who has fallen in the material world, conditioned souls. Akshara is the one who is infallible, who is liberated. There are two kinds of people. That is the explanation given here. There are two kinds of people in this material world. So there are two classes of men, being the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible. So हम सब कितना पतित आत्मा है, fallen souls. Okay, everybody is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. So means liberated. It referring to the liberated soul. They are infallible. Okay. What do you mean by fallible? Means that you are conditioned by the modes of material nature. You've fallen down from your real position of being the servant of the Lord or a part of the Lord. You're trying to enjoy independence. That is what is called as fallen. When you identify your real position, you are liberated from this material world and you go and do your eternal constitutional duty, that is infallible. Serve the Supreme Lord in the spiritual, that is infallible. Okay, so there are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. As already explained, the Lord in his incarnation as Vyasadeva compiled the Vedanta Sutra. Here the Lord is giving in a summary the contents of the Vedanta Sutra. He says that the living entity who are innumerable can be divided into two classes, the fallible and the infallible. The living entities are eternally separated parts and parcels of the Supreme Person of God. When they are in contact with material world, they are called Jiva Bhuta, and the Sanskrit word given here is Shara Sarvani Bhutani, mean that they are fallible. Those who are in oneness with the Supreme Personality of God, however, are called infallible. This oneness with Krishna of those infallible soul is in the spiritual world is herein called as Kutastha, a oneness in desire, not oneness in identity. You don't merge with the Lord. Your oneness is with respect to the thought process, the desire. Many times people think, especially in India, people think that to be liberated means to become one with God. No, it is not like that. You don't become one with God. That is what Krishna is bifurcating over here. There is Shara, there is Akshara, and there is Purushottama. Beyond the Shara and Akshara. That this is what he's summarizing in these three verses. Shara, Akshara, and Purushottama. That is why the 17th verse, the first line is Uttama Purushastva Anya. Uttama Purusha. Tva Anya. There is another Purusha which is Uttama. Beyond that, there are Dvau Ima Purusha Loke. There are two kinds of people. But beyond these two kinds of people, there is one another Uttama Purusha which is not. Anya means another. Okay. Third category. Paramatmiti Udharita Yo Loke Trayam Aveshya Bhivarti Avyaya Ishvara. He is a Ishvara. So this oneness with Krishna of these infallible souls of the spirit world, spiritual world herein is Kutastha, a oneness in desire. We are therefore required, as Krishna said in text 4 and 5, to be detached from the material world, as Krishna is detached, and overcoming our desires for independent enjoyment to surrender to Him. And that's the thing in the 17th verse. The super soul is beyond Akshara, Shara, and Akshara. Uttama Purushastvanya Paramatmiti Udarata Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vibharti Avyaya Ishvara. Besides these two, there is a greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. So there is conditioned souls, there are liberated souls, and there is one who's beyond those conditioned and liberated soul, which is the Supreme Lord. This is very important to understand how this. Otherwise, people, like. Besides these two, there is a greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that the word tu, but, used in Uttama Purusha to Anya, distinguishes the Super Soul. The Supreme Purusha mentioned in this verse from the two other Purushas, the fallible and the infallible, mentioned in text 16. In addition, Krishna now directly states that he has already described in text 12 to 15, he is Vibharta, the maintainer of the living entities. So in the 12 to 15 verses, we saw that how he's maintaining everything. He's entering into each and every planet, and by their energy, they're staying in orbit. He's a taste. He's supplying the taste also that is there in the food. Everything he's mentioning. So that is the same reference is being given here again. Like many times people think in India, especially, that one can make his guru uh, into God. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Shakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Meaning of this verse is that the Guru is supposed to be given equal respect as much as you give God. But Guru is not God, it's Jiva. It's a Jiva. The Jiva can never become God. No one can become God. When somebody says that I am God, that means he's a dog. Srila Prabhupada says he's a dog. He's not God. Okay? Because God is only one. Parameshwara. Satchidananda, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sach Ananda Vigraha. And is only Param Ishvara is only Krishna. There is no other Ishvara. So even if a person moves from Akshara stage to Akshara stage, from fallen to infallible, he will still remain servant of God. He will not become God. So the liberated souls going back to the spiritual world, they know that my position is what and I have to serve the Supreme Lord. That is very important. That brings us to this 18th verse. Having spoken about the object of worship of the yogis, Paramatma, Krishna now speaks about the object of worship for the devotees, that is Bhagwan. Yasmat sharam atito aham akshara chotama atosmi loka vede cha atita purushottama. He said, because I am transcendental beyond both fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person. Krishna is clearly saying, I am the Supreme Person. No doubt about it. I am the Supreme Person. Because I am transcendental to both fallen and infallen, and that is why I am celebrated both in the world also and in the Vedas also as the Supreme Person. Nothing beyond me. Rama, Vishnu doesn't say this words. Krishna himself is saying this words. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. No doubt about it. Because I'm transcendental beyond both fallible and infallible, and because I'm the greatest. Okay, this we read. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is different from the all other living entities and is a source of both the Brahman and the Paramatma, feature of the Absolute Truth. Prabhupada's purport explains no one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, neither the conditioned soul nor the liberated soul. He is therefore the greatest of personalities. The Supreme Personality is exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence, which is the ultimate illumination. That Supreme Personality also has a localized aspect as Paramatma. He's also known as a localized within all of us as Paramatma. So there are two classes of people: one who is distressed, fallen, one who is infallible. You see, Hanuman is there, infallible. In the material world, living entities are fallible. In the spiritual world, living entities are infallible. They enjoy with Krishna, they serve the Supreme Lord. Besides these two, there is a greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable, the Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds, and by he's maintaining all of them. And because I'm transcendental and both fallible and infallible, I'm beyond them. I'm the greatest. I'm celebrated both in this world and the Vedas as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You see all the Devi Devatas offering prayers to, Shivadakshai Vishnu. I was hearing a lecture, and in that lecture it was mentioned. I just recollected that because in Shirasagar it's an ocean of milk. You know, the Lord who is lying down on the ocean of milk came to the material world to drink the milk of Maya Yashoda because he did not know how that milk tastes. I was just hearing that, and how fortunate is Mother Yashoda that the Lord who is sleeping on the ocean of milk came to drink her milk. This struck me just looking at this photo of Shiv Sagar. There is no dearth of milk where he is staying, right? It's an ocean of milk. So whoever knows me as a supreme personality of Godhead without doubting, so that's the 19th and the 20th verse, is a knower of everything. So Krishna says, I'll just go quickly to the last verse. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Krishna will now speak about the position and the disposition of a person who has assimilated the essence of the last three verses, especially that Krishna is supreme. So if you have understood these last three verses, 16, 17, and 18, then what is your position? Let's know that. यो माम एवा असामूढ़ो जानति पुरुषोत्तमा स सर्वा वेद भजति माम सर्वभावेन भारत यो माम एवा asamudho janati purushottama. The one who knows that I am Purushottama. Amongst all the Purushas, I am Uttama. That is Purna Purushottam. Fully. It's not like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Leela Purushottam, Ram is Maryada Purushottam, Krishna is Purna Purushottam, complete, topmost amongst the living entities, Purushottama. Sa Sarva Ved Bhajati Mam. He has known everything, he doesn't need to know anything else. वो कहते हैं ना अरे मुझे इसके बारे में नॉलेज नहीं था सर मतलब मुझे इसके बारे में पता नहीं था यू डोंट नीड टू नो एनीथिंग एल्स इफ यू नो कृष्णा इज supreme personality of God. That's it. That's enough. Sarva bhavena bharata. He said, whoever knows me as a supreme personality of Godhead without doubting is a knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me. Okay. Janati Purushottama sa sarva with bhajati mam. He engages in me. Knowing me as a supreme Lord, he engages me he engages in my devotional service, and by doing that, he doesn't need to do anything else. He knows everything. That's the disposition of a person who knows Krishna. And what's the phala? What's the fruit? Ithi guyatmam Krishna. Sorry. Ithi guyatmam shastram. Idam uktam maya naga. Eta budhva buddhimam syad. Krita krityasya bharata. He's saying, Guya Tamam, I'm telling you this most confidential knowledge, my dear Arjuna. He's saying that this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scripture, O sinless one, and is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. You'll become wise. If you understand just this knowledge, you'll become wise enough. You'll have wisdom, and you'll be able to give words of wisdom. If you understand this knowledge just by knowing this, that's what was mentioned over here. This is the most Krishna is saying over here, that only, that whoever knows me as supreme personality of Godhead, see, this devotee is worshipping the Supreme Lord, is a knower of everything. He doesn't need to know anything else. He's a knower of everything. He therefore engages in full devotional service to me. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic literatures. She is speaking this to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and is disclosed by me to you, Arjuna. Who understands this will become wise. He will understand everything what is happening, and his endeavors will know perfection, which is achieving Krishna. So, what is the learning from this chapter? The chapter is finished. So, what is the learning from this chapter? Huh? What is the takeaway? Your takeaway is to cut that tree off. No, your takeaway is to cut this tree. What is the takeaway? Huh? Yes, yes, okay. Engage in devotional service, okay. Engaging in devotional service will help you. How? How will it help you? Yes. So one who engages in devotional service is the knower of this knowledge automatically. He doesn't need to know anything else. What else? Yes, Mayank. Krishna is the maintainer of everything. What else? अगर आप लोग को याद है तो मैंने लास्ट टाइम सब लोग से रिफ्लेक्शन करवाया था. अच्छा था ना? At least it could, there was a good recap. Everybody could give some points. So you can give some points. Yes. Okay. Okay, we are Shara. We are Shara. We are fallible, and we have to go to Akshara stage. Okay. Okay. Very nice. Yes. Ah, Vedesh Sarvaya Okay. Yeah. So now you don't want to. How many of you don't want to make this your home? Some are compelled to raise their hands by the peer pressure. I asked a question. How many of you don't want to make this your home? Home. So if you don't want to make this your home, then we have created many homes, satellite homes, spiritual satellite homes. They are called as centers. हमारे मंदिर में काफी सारे सेंटर्स हैं, हमारे बेस है, तो वहाँ पे आके स्पिरिचुअल सैटेलाइट सेंटर्स में आप रह सकते हैं. Okay, this is an opportunity for you. You can do this in this age. You cannot do it after a certain age. Trust me, you will not do it. So if you really want to get out of this hotel, and if you really want to work towards going back to home, Like somebody's working to go back to another city, you know, to stay close to home, or somebody's working, somebody takes a break, uses his annual leaves to go back home. Many people go abroad and they use their annual leaves to come back to India. And then when they come back to India, like yesterday I met a gentleman. He was saying that my cousin came back from America and she had not tasted Indian food, being in Canada for 2 months. So she ate so much outside food, in home cooked food, or Indian delicacies, and she packed also and took it back with her to Canada. So this is how we are. So if you really want to not live this short-lived uh, blissfulness or happiness, we should make a sincere attempt to go towards the real home. Let's make an attempt to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable for us to come out of our comfort. Very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to come out of our comfort. But when we do that, then we are progressing. Otherwise, you're not progressing. So डोंट थिंक दैट ओके मेरे पेरेंट्स तो यहीं पे मैं मुंबई में ही हूँ कैसे मैं आके बेस में रहूँ हाउ कैन आई स्टे इन स्टॉप द रिकॉर्डिंग